Please welcome the CEO of the Walt Disney Company, Bob Iger.
Wow. Thank you very much for that warm welcome. Tonight, it is my honor to present the Winsor McCay Award to one of the greatest animation filmmakers of his generation, Pete Docter. Now, it is just hard to think of anyone who has left a bigger mark, both literally and figuratively, on animation over the past 3 decades than Pete. He's had a part in so many groundbreaking and beloved films, but he started out like so many of you in the room, just a kid who loved to draw cartoons with a passion for storytelling. He was 8 years old when he created his first flip book. He still gives them out, by the way, as Christmas presents. I've been a recipient of them for many years. And it was not long before he was studying animation at the prestigious Cal Arts, where he won a Student Academy Award for his film Next Door. Now, in 1990, despite offers from other prominent animation studios who will remain nameless, he joined a then-fledgling animation company called Pixar. As many of you know, Pixar had a vastly different view of what animation could be, and Pete fit right in with a group of very, very talented and young innovators and animators. And as you often do in the early days of a company, Pete did just about everything. He was an animator, a screenwriter, a director, a producer, a voice artist. He even scored music, and he has worked on all of Pixar films since the very beginning. Now, when I first became CEO of Disney, I pitched a very crazy idea to Steve Jobs, and that was for Disney to buy Pixar. So after we agreed to pursue it, I visited Pixar for the first time, and I had the luxury of hearing pitches from 6 different directors about their upcoming films. Now, one of them was about a 78-year-old widower who attaches balloons to his house, takes a journey to South America, inadvertently bringing a young boy with him as a stowaway, eventually meeting a dastardly old explorer who has a dog whose collar turns his barks into actual words. Well, I cannot say that that pitch is what convinced us to buy Pixar. But when Pete first showed all of us the film, complete with its brilliant 17-minute opening montage about the life of Carl and Ellie Fredrickson, I was convinced that buying Pixar was so right because of the talent, the ingenuity, and the sheer creative courage of many of its young directors, including Pete. And over the past 17 years, I've had the privilege of watching Pete in action on so many different projects, and there's nobody who thinks quite like he does. And I could talk for hours about his remarkable achievements over the years, including his 9 Oscar nominations, 3 for Best Animated Feature for Up and Inside Out and Soul. But since this is a visual medium, let's take a look at some of the unforgettable stories and characters that he's helped to create over these years. Pretty remarkable. So without question, Pete is one of the most brilliant, beloved, and inspiring creators that I've ever had the pleasure to work with. He's a master of his craft whose exceptional contributions to animation have touched the lives of billions. And to have him now as the Chief Creative Officer of Pixar is a boon for Disney and for fans all over the world. And I could not be more honored to present him with this award tonight. So please join me in welcoming one of this year's recipients of the Winsor McCay Award, Pete Docter. Pete.
Well, thank you, Bob, for coming out here on a rainy Saturday night to give that wonderful introduction. Oh, and on a totally unrelated note, better luck next time at our poker game. So, I am so honored to receive this award named after, of course, the pioneering animator Winsor McCay. Not only did he do amazing work, but he left us with some profound words of wisdom. I wrote one down. He said, "Whatever you do, for God's sake, do not name an award after me." I fell in love with animation back in third grade when I made my first flip book in the corners of my math book, so I'll start by thanking Mrs. Phipps for not fining me for vandalizing school property. Truthfully, I'm trying to figure out what this award really means, because it's a career achievement award, I think, which sort of implies my career is finished, which I hope is not true. Although, I can see why you might think that, given that I'm now an executive. So. But it does, I don't know if you all have this experience, it puts me in a strange state of mind, because I look back at the work I've done and I can't quite figure out where it came from. I was there for every decision, every major decision, and yet somehow the work kind of has a life of its own. I don't know if that is familiar to any of you, but it's a strange effect. However it worked out, I'm very grateful that those ideas chose me. I'm also a product of so many amazing teachers like Bob Winquist, Mike Giamo, Chris Buck, Joe Ranft, Joe Grant. And the many, many talented people that I've been lucky enough to work with. I'm going to get in trouble if I start listing them, but I'm going to go ahead. Jonas Rivera, Andrew Stanton, John Lasseter, Dana Murray, Bob Peterson, Ronnie Del Carmen, and hundreds of others. So. Plus, I have benefited from the bold decisions of so many great collaborators like Bob Iger, like Steve Jobs, Alan Bergman, and Jim Morris. So I'm very thankful to them. Most significantly, I've been able to spend 30 years married to the most wonderful woman in the world who supported, challenged, and loved me, even in moments when I did not deserve it. So Amanda, I love you. It's moments like this that make me realize how incredibly wonderful it's been, from painting cells in Edina, Minnesota, to cutting out Xerox heads for Cranium Command, to everything else I've been a part of. This award stands for all that. The only thing that could have possibly made this better is if there were a few nominees so I could have that feeling I beat someone. But thank you, Asifa. You make us feel so special, all of us who make cartoons for a living. And if my work has inspired any of you in this room, I'm very, very glad. And I look forward to seeing what you all do with this amazing medium. Thank you.